We're back again, guys, and I'm going to do something completely different. Basically, I've been seeing there's a couple guys, bigger guys, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 subscribers that seem to poo-poo on a lot of, like, WL especially. And in particular, this new car that come out, the 124 scale, basically like a low-C clone. BeyondRC calls WL as dead, so I was a little triggered by it. You can see here, WL is dead one. So what I decided to do, like, before I get mad and judge what he's gonna say, I figured I'd watch it with you and react with you and do something a little different for RC in general. I'm gonna start, if I see something like this that I don't agree with, I'm gonna say something about it. And it's not just me, there's other guys that like WL in general. Before we even get into the video itself, what I find is every company that, like, MJX, Rolarlo, even now with the new 112s, the ZD, the Juicy, the Rolarlo, you'll see that they all have similar cars or the same cars, and they all kind of copied WL's like their way of doing things. You know, anything from, you know, like, people forget about other cars like the 959 and the 979 and all their smaller scale ones that really got a lot of us into this and into YouTube as a whole. The WL 144 is a classic, and a lot of guys are like, where's WL been past year? So they still put out the 124008 and the 10. Are they all good? No. The 10 I don't think was a good idea, and when they initially came out with it, they weren't even going to use oil-filled shocks. So there's a lot of issues, but these are decisions that, you know, businesses make. And in my opinion on this car, I'll get into that while we're doing it, but this fills a niche market for especially people like me that are very budget conscious. I always wanted the low C, but I never could justify spending that much. We did get a Serpent, which is the same price range as the WL, but it's definitely toy grade, and we'll get into that. Like, it's not the same thing. What they provide for this small low prices is amazing, and I kind of want to get into that, but I want to see what he has to say and we can react together. So I'll come back and we'll do a reaction and watch together. All right, hopefully this is working, and we're gonna click on so we have a marker. And again, this is BeyondRC. He's been around for a while. He's one of the reasons I got into doing YouTube as well. Like, not, you know, like, I started watching him, I'm like, that's kind of fun, that's kind of cool. And he's got a lot more subscribers for the amount of videos he's got, unlike me. Like, I'm just a little guy, so what I say really doesn't matter, but I'm still going to give my opinion, especially when it comes to WL, because I really do think they're underrated. So let's just get into it. Let's not get into it for a second. All right.
This really going to do that advertised speed, because we all know WLtoys have had some fantastic RC cars over the years, including this and this and this. But lately we don't hear a lot from them, and when they do release something, it doesn't tend to be very good. If you go back about 5 years, WLtoys used to be the #1 affordable RC brand.
That's a great car. That was only a year ago.
That's no longer the case. We very rarely see new releases from WLtoys, and I think the market leaders now are MJX and Rolarlo.
And I don't agree
from WLtoys. This is their 244016, also known as the Vagrant Speedster.
Now, mine came in just as crappy a box.
Per hour. And on something this small, that is pretty quick. But is this really going to do that advertised speed? Because we all know what WLtoys are like. They're full of empty promises. Now, we all know WLtoys
just like all the rest of them.
And in this instance,
Juicy's not as fast as it says it's going to be. ZD is not as fast.
To the Micro B. Now, if you haven't noticed it already, this thing has friction shocks. And yeah, the shocks on this really aren't great. Now when it comes to quality,
you could turn those into oils.
It's pretty much your typical WLtoys. The quality of their stuff is okay. It's not as good as the original cars that they're trying to replicate. Of course. Underneath it looks like we've got a carbon effect on the chassis. What is cool on this though is this does have proper hex hardware. Now taking a look at the rear, we've got metal dog bones. Now I've taken a closer look in there, and this thing has bushings, which is kind of annoying really, because I mean, come on, this isn't exactly a big buggy. The bearings would have been tiny. How much more money would they have cost? Again, it's just the
all
usual
about cost.
WLtoys corner cutting. Now, we've seen this from WLtoys so many times before. They just like to throw together a product, throw it out there.
See, and that's my opinion is on this. You look at the Relarlo 144s. Who did they copy? What did they do? They took a car, added an extra $50 onto it right off the get-go, and they went to hex hardware, and they changed the dog bones a little bit. I mean, they made changes, but were the changes enough to warrant the cost? This is where I don't have a problem with Relardo cars. They're a better car than a WL, but you're paying for it. And cost is cost. I still think that WL, even now, their car is 3 years older. I bet you they're still selling more than Relardo was. And if you look at Amazon, about 2 years ago, I would say, they were dumping. These were returned like crazy. I bought 3 of these Relardos for $50. Used once. There wasn't even anything on these tires. You can go back and look at my video. $50. So that's because they were all returns. So if anything, and I've never seen that with the WL, you don't. So I don't know what's going on there. Anyways, back to it. Let's see what he's got to say.
And hope that it sells and does well. Yeah, it's a shame, really. Now I'll take that body off in a moment, and we'll take.
He just sounds bitter. Maybe they aren't giving him free cars like Relardo. Who knows?
Because they used to be
whatever.
Pretty much the #1 budget / affordable RC brand. Obviously,
they're still
these
cheaper.
days, well, we know that's Relardo and MJX. But if you go back 5 or 6 years,
and MJX,
they were pretty much at the top.
Like, this is their cheaper solution, same kind of chassis that this is the 1440016.
They just kept throwing cars out there without really testing them and making sure that they were okay. And I think they just didn't innovate. You know, there was never anything new. They were just doing the clones of LC Racing and a couple other brands maybe.
But what is Relardo doing? There's 3 companies making the same cars.
When you compare WLtoys to the current market leaders like MJX and Relardo,
and he's not mentioning Juicy or ZD, who sell just as many as Relardo. And MJX, I don't even own one.
And they also create their own designs. They're not copying anybody else. It's a combination of these things which has made them so popular. And then, of course, WLtoys just couldn't really keep up with that. Now, with this little 244016, is this something we wanted? Is this something we needed? And is this something good enough to get WLtoys back into the top 3 again? Yeah, I don't think it is. Now, I've already seen some reviews out there, and I can appreciate a lot of people are being quite positive towards this little buggy. Of course, it's a much more cheaper, affordable option compared to the LC version. But is it good enough to bring back WLtoys from the dead?
No.
I don't think it is.
No,
now, some people may be thinking, why is this guy being so negative? Why can't he just say nice things about this?
No.
It's been so long since we've seen a WLtoys release. Why can't you just be happy for a change? Now, I tell you what would have made me happy, something completely new, and something that Relardo and MJX aren't doing.
Are they doing that?
A 1/8 scale truck, for example. I think if there was a 1/8 scale WLtoys sat on my worktop here, I think the entire vibe of this video would have been completely different. But there's no way WLtoys would have done something completely different. Remember, they don't listen to anyone. They just do what they want to do.
There's more to explore with New York State Parks. The Parks Explorer
that's
app
crazy. So I'll minimize through this and
find out what's
all
happening.
that good jazz, and I don't agree. I don't agree.
So taking a closer look underneath,
I think he's
now,
overly
course,
critical.
Brushed.
And I don't think it's
right. They had to
right.
make this thing brushed to keep the price down, and there you can see the little brushed motor at the back. Of course, this has a 2-in-1 ESC and receiver. Now, what I really don't like on this is you have to remove a couple of screws to get this out of the way so that you can get the battery out. I just find that a little bit pointless. Up at the
you
front
can charge
here,
it right in there, so don't.
There's not really anything else to see. It's pretty basic in its design. So let's talk
charge
about
mine
price.
right
How
in
much
there.
does this little buggy cost? Well, you can pick this up for around £35, which is roughly $50.
Yeah.
So it is quite a bit cheaper compared to the Micro B. So we know the quality is not going to be as good as the Micro B. And of course, the performance isn't going to be as good either. Again, like I said earlier, this is just a little bit of a pointless release in my opinion. No one really asked for this. No one really wanted it.
I think this is a great holiday season.
I really don't think they are. Again, what I would have liked to have seen from WLtoys is something completely different that Rolalo and MJX aren't doing.
And they're not doing
that. For me, that would have been a 1/8 scale truck. So in the box here
again,
we have
he wants an 8 scale
USB
truck.
charger, some shock preload spacers, a cross wrench, screwdriver, finally the transmitter.
Were you advertising Traxxas? You trying to get them on board?
I've definitely come across worse. You do get a foam grip on the wheel. Finally,
and it's got a gyro.
Top, we have a speed switch, a DIY light button, which I think is if you want to add in your own LEDs after.
Yeah, that's what
there is a connector for that, so that should be quite simple. Obviously we've got steering trim and there's also adjustment there for the gyro. It looks like there's also a cruise control function, although I can't really see why you'd need that on this. So let's get this out and give it a run. Apparently this will do 30 kilometers per hour. I'm really interested to see if it actually does. So let's go and find out. So they say this will do around 30 kilometers per hour, which is around 18 miles per hour. Let me put this up to the high speed setting. Let's see if we can get 18 miles per hour out of this. So let's see if this really will do 18 miles per hour as claimed on the box, 30 kilometers per hour.
The other thing I remember
Doesn't
is
feel like 18.
his GNSS probably weighs more than the car.
First time WLtoys have told us that their car will do way more speed than claimed.
WL is no different than any other companies with these speeds.
It's kind of a marketing trick that they use
to get people
to buy their cars because you think you're getting more for your money. But we worked
That's why they
out
put
very
kilometers,
early on
not miles per hour on there.
that they were using this trick. Yeah, it doesn't feel like 18. Now this has a gyro as well, and I'm glad it does because it would be really twitchy without that gyro. Right, let's see what we got on the included battery.
Very negative.
I don't think we're going to see 18, but you never know. So that's
it's funny how...
So 12 miles per hour is all it does.
I'll do a speed run with mine and we'll see if there's any difference.
I kind of knew that was going to be the case anyway. I wonder how this thing's going to perform off-road. So how does this little WLtoys perform off-road? Well...
You go to gravel.
Not great, actually. Very bouncy.
Take a low-see and see what it does.
Sort of surface you want to be running on. You know, you want to be running on flat surfaces really more so than this. Realistically, how capable is something like this going to be? It's probably
it's an indoor carpet car.
But testing it out over here,
it's not a 110 buggy, and the expectation that it is absurd, especially for $50. I'm being negative. I shouldn't be so negative. I don't really disagree with him on many things. I'm not saying he's wrong.
It's not exactly something
to put someone else on a pedestal and say that they're doing something different is
for the other big
not
brands
genuine.
out there,
It's not being honest.
Brands like
and honest is not. Telling the truth is not the same as honesty.
Yeah, this really doesn't even come close.
He's just jaded.
Considering WLtoys
and that's
is
fine.
Kind of WL dead, I think they needed to produce something which was going to be appealing to a very wide audience. Something larger.
I still think WL sells more than Rolalo.
Larger cars, larger affordable cars at the moment.
Yes, they should.
We're seeing so many minis entering the market. You know, it's oversaturated.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think
the only other buggy than the Low-C is the Serpent, and this thing is a toy.
It's
a toy. Proprietary battery, one spring. I mean, how can you compare it? This is the same price point as this.
To make a massive comeback.
You tell me.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I know I've said that in this video, and I don't want to be negative towards
this is a Christmas
WLtoys,
gift. This is what this is.
You have to speak the truth, and
indoor Christmas.
You have to accept it for what it is.
I know I'm not the only one. I know that a couple of the other guys feel the same way I do. That he's
so there we go then, brand new from WLtoys, their latest 1/24 scale entry. So what we have here then is something that nobody really wanted, nobody really needs, and it's not even a very good alternative to what it's trying to copy. WLtoys, you used to be one of the best. Now look, the only good thing about this little buggy is it's cheap. I think it's around £35 for us here in the UK. I'll stick the dollars conversion
and
on
it's
the screen
upgradable.
as well. But look, I have struggled with today's video.
Again,
I just think
he's showing the negative.
From WLtoys, a company that's quite clearly dying, should have produced something that would be appealing, something that would take on the rivals like MJX and Rolalo. I don't think this was the way to go.
See, and here's the thing that really gets me, guys, is he's always saying MJX and Rolalo. There's a lot more companies out there than MJX and Rolalo. And, all right, so all these companies play the same games. So you're not being genuine if you're pointing out one and not the other. Again, I don't have a problem with the Rolalo or MJX or any other ones. But you see, here's a Juicy, here's a ZD. The Rolalo is the same one. Now, if you really want to get into some technicalities, you go over and look at RCRX. He's got the Rolalo and the ZD. Now, the Rolalo keeps dumping dog bones. Not only on this, but his Rogue One does the same thing. So this is a problem with their versions. So there's two other companies that he's not mentioning that actually have better quality for the same car, and the cars are cheaper. The most expensive one is the Rolalo. So you're not being genuine. And to point at WL as a bad guy or a dead company, that's just not fair either. There isn't any. This is a game changer, in my opinion. They are listening. They're saying, okay, Losi, American company, just like when they got the LCs, which were an adaptation of an American car as well. Like they're taking something and making it affordable for people like me. Rolalo, MJX has got 5 cars that are all freaking the same. And I'll be real honest with you. Well, hold 1 minute, I'll be right back. WL did a MJX style, so let's get honest with that. This is stolen from a Traxxas, which is even earlier, the Traxxas underside, and they use metal ends. So it's not genuine. They all steal from each other. WL, if they made another car, he keeps saying the 1/8 scale. I'm not buying a 1/8 scale. I can't afford that. And if you're looking at it from what WL sells, they sell the lower entry-level cars. You want one that's fancier, that performs a little better, pay a little more, like a Rolalo or like a ZD, which I wouldn't even say that they're that much better. The market only has so much it can bear. Not everyone is going to buy every version of every 112 or 110 that comes out. So to have an option, this is the only one out there that's a legitimate option. I bought this because I thought the Losi was cool, but I knew I wasn't going to spend $110. I couldn't justify that cost. This was the same price, and it has the same kind of functionality. Yes, they're friction shocks, but you can adjust them and probably get oil to work, or check out the Losi ones. That's where you get into, like, that was the beauty of the 1.4, and is you could just keep doing like our speedrun competition. If it wasn't for WL, we wouldn't have that whole platform. The AMX12s, like even the ZD and the X12S and the WB12 Pro, those all come about because of WL. And to minimize that is not being genuine or honest. So for whatever that's worth, I don't have a problem with him telling us his opinion, but I'm not gonna, knowing that I like WL, but I like Rolalo as well. I've had worse customer service with Rolalo. I've had no customer service with WL because nothing has been broken that they didn't, like, that wasn't due to me beating it up. So anyways, so enough about me rambling and lollygagging. So hopefully that's my opinion in this video. If you like this, let me know. I'll do some more, and yeah, I'll see you when I see you guys. I don't, and I'm not trying to be too hard on them. I just think WL is a much better platform than they're making it out to be. They're a much better manufacturer. I'm not saying they're great. None of them are. But the dog pile on one company, I know that's kind of what you do on YouTube, but I don't agree with it. I don't agree with swaying people away from a car that is going to fill a need and somebody is going to have fun with it. And just because you don't know how to drive a two-wheel drive buggy and you're taking it a 124 scale on gravel and expecting it to perform like a 110, that's not being genuine. That's setting them up for failure, and it's not being honest. So that's my 2 cents, and it is what it is. And I know I'm not the only one that feels that way, and I've talked to a few of you, and I'm not going to name names because I'm kind of slinging some hash. So anyways, like and subscribe, guys, and I'll see you when I see you. Peace.
Stay tuned for more, just getting started. Every guy you'll feel worried, everything you feel the right place. I just wait, you know you try. Going some nuts, a little taste by the light. It's great, we're on your side. Don't like say that was right. Really like to play. Right place was Canton 7, winning mile on Kim Members. Right place, sucker, had a 10.